everyone, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 3 of From Hope to Glory at Truro City with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So we're at the beginning of November in the first season. I would say so far things have been going okay. We're still getting to grips with the players and the squad that we've got, and the way that we're playing has changed dramatically since last episode. I'll tell you more about that in a second. Today though, we get Taunton in the league, and as I say, we're doing okay, but some are doing better than us and we need to pick up our game a little bit, and today's a perfect chance to do that. So let's see how we get on. Welcome back to Truro City. So yes, as I say, things have been going okay, but it could be better. The likes of Tiverton, for example, 7 wins and 1 loss, 21 points after 8 matches, and we are sitting currently in 8th. Ourselves having only played 7 matches on 12 points. If today we could win, we'd kind of get up to this kind of area, the sort of top 5, and that's where we need to be at this point in the season, really, so we can mount a challenge later on. We have a bit of a tricky opponent though, 6th place Taunton. You remember the reason we're playing them specifically, that I chose this particular game because we took several of their players in the summer transfer window on free transfers. So I kind of just thought it would be a good opportunity to go back to them with those players and try and cause them a problem or two. But they may well do the same to us. That's going to be a bit of a tricky game potentially. But overall, we're doing okay. People are beginning to get involved. There's lots of goals from lots of different people. The likes of Rooney, Neal and Chamberlain. Chamberlain, the guy that I had real doubts about, has got 4 goals so far and is doing pretty well. We've had some cup games that I'll tell you about in a second when we look at the fixtures, the most recent fixtures. But just to say, the bank is still a bit of a problem, the bank balance. We've got to find a way to lower this wage budget, but that's really tricky when the only way to do it is to absolutely decimate your squad by taking away the likes of this guy, Harvey, on, where is his wage? £725 a week he's on, but he's by far our best player and is showing it really. 1 goal, 6 assists in 8 matches. And we can't afford to lose him. So I think we're just going to have to bite the bullet and suggest that by the end of the season, the finances won't be fantastic, but we'll have to reinvigorate that next summer if given the chance. Although one of the required elements is to stay within the wage budget, and we're not quite doing that. So tricky situation, this financial stuff at the moment, but we'll have to see how that progresses over the season. So here is our most recent run of form in the fixture list that we've had. You can see that we started with a couple of draws, got a couple of good wins fairly early on though. We did lose to Farnborough 2-1, but Neal has been doing well along with a couple of others in terms of getting the goals. And then we went on a bit of a cup run. We've got 2 cups that we're involved in, the Southern League Cup first round and the Build Base FA Trophy first round, and we went through comfortably against weak opposition, let's say. And we looked really good doing it, I must say, in both of those games, and we played a completely rotated 11 in both to give my first team that has been playing in the league a little bit of rest time. Does that mean that some of these can fight their way into the side? Absolutely they can, but for today we are reverting back to the now rested and very match fit first 11 that we've been playing most recently for the game against Taunton, but it is a real tricky one. 6th place is 8th, and we are away from home, which doesn't help us, but we're going to give it as good a go as we have that we can in a brand new style of play. So you can see that the shape remains the same. We're still in the 4-2-3-1, but we've now gone into the custom route 1, and the custom elements I'll show you as we go through. We're in cautious mentality. In terms of in possession, these are the instructions that I've given. You can take screenshots of them or just note them down, pause the video if you really want to pay attention to it. But this is what I've done so far. In transition, we've got these instructions going. And again, you can pause the video to look at it in depth if you want to. There's not a huge amount of interesting stuff there. This is the interesting page to me, and this is the way that it worked in my head. Right, so a few games ago, we were struggling a little bit to get going properly, and we were playing a controlled possession style of football, but it wasn't really working. And what I discovered whilst playing a couple of opposition who were much more dynamic and much more driven and much more goal threat than we were, is because they were chipping and charging and cutting out the faff. And our game was too faffy. It's a word I really love, faff. It was too faffy. It was too little tippy-tappy sort of things for a team that isn't good enough to do it. And that's the difference. We were tippy-tapping it around and not going anywhere because we don't have the passes in our side to work it in good ways and make good decisions. And the other teams that we were playing were just going over the top, and were really battering us at the goal end, our goal end, should I say. And so what I decided to do was scrap everything, stay in the shape because I think it fits the players that we've got, but change the style of play. And so we went to the route one. So what I'm trying to do is hit the target man. He's not playing as a target man role, but the top man as quick as I can. But this is why this page is so interesting. What I found was when we were playing a high line, we were trying to do that, and they were getting the ball really early, winning those headers or whatever, and then just counter-attacking us with a ball over the top ourselves. So the way it now works and what you should be looking for in this game, because I have seen it working. Of course it won't today because you're here. For some reason, that's the way it works when you press record, isn't it? But what happens is from the defensive area, the ball goes up early to the striker or the attacking midfield player. They hold the ball up briefly and allow these wide players or the attacking midfielder or all three to then overlap them. The ball drops back into midfield and we move it again higher up the pitch. And by the time it gets into these positions, then Neil is released to run through into the penalty box and gets a few attempts at goal. That's how it's been working. You've seen our recent form. If we go back to it, you can see that in the last few games, we have been scoring goals. So if it doesn't work today, this is the point where we changed it against Chesham because of that 2-1 loss against Farnborough. So if it doesn't work today, then it doesn't mean I'm abandoning this because I've seen it working so far, but it is this page that gives you the demonstration of what the intention is. We get it halfway out the pitch, we hold it, we get supporting runners, we move it up again, and then finally we create a chance. That's the plan. Because then we are solid. If in the first instance we don't win the ball in the attacking area, we've got enough protection for if they counter-attack us. It's been working so far. Let's hope that it works again today. And that's the style of play that we're going to be trying to bed in for the next probably couple of seasons as we hopefully build this side into a side that can get a couple of promotions maybe into the sort of Vanarama League or whatever it's called these days. I can't even remember what it's called. The National Conference. That's right, I think. Once we get to that kind of level, maybe we'll readjust it again and see where we can sort of soften the edges a little bit. And if this save lasts all the way through to being the top dogs in England, at some point in or around the Championship, we will then structure it again differently to move into the Premier League. And once there, structure it again differently to eventually get a much nicer style of football, potentially in terms of controlling possession or tiki-taka or something that's a little bit more pleasing to watch. But for now, it's about results and building up this club. And this is the way I've chosen to do it. So, hope all of that makes sense. If we don't see it in today's game, we will be continuing with this because it has been working, as I say. But for today's game, we've gone back to our first team 11 with with one change at right fullback because George has been playing particularly well compared to Shane White. So we have Hammond in goal, George at right back, Dixon at left back, Collins and Richards in central defence, Allen, Rooney and Harvey in central midfield, Chamberlain on the right, Hayes on the left and Neil up top, and a bench of Murray, White, Riley Lowe, Sangster, Thompson, Yetton and Rooney. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So I've gone with a quite calm, if we play our game, we'll win, you're more than capable of that, just to put the onus on them to go out and perform. We're again, of course, in our white strips away from home against Taunton in red. And we get a good opportunity to play a direct rival at the moment in terms of a couple of positions separate us and see whether we are on the right track in terms of being able to build this squad into a competitive squad for this particular division. It's been a slightly iffy start. You can see the likes of, was it Tiverton at the top, have been playing really well, and we've just been a little bit below that, but there's lots of reasons for that, and that's, you know, a new manager, a new style of play, a couple of new players, a new formation for them. So there's lots of reasons for it, and there's one more that I'll tell you about in a second in terms of why we chose to play the way we're currently now playing. So Holmes on the ball for Taunton. Unfortunately, it's their highlight. Having got the ball in their defensive unit, they've worked it well down the right-hand side. McBeam with a good run, and we try and get a challenge in, but he rides the challenge. But a good header from George, and then cleared by Chamberlain. And can Neil pick up the ball? He can, and he gets a chance to run into the box, and then can't quite find the angle on the curve of his shot to get it wide enough round the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper plucks it out of the air, unfortunately for us. Half-time, just before we go into the half-time team talk, there was another reason why we changed the style of play, and it was actually, well done Nathan, you pointed it out, but it was a bit of an error on my part. Now, there are two ways of looking at this. What we're talking about is our pitch size. And our pitch size is ginormous. Now, there is the thought that I chose the maximum pitch size because I thought that we could play an expansive way, but we weren't. We were playing a controlled possession at the beginning, and so the two of those didn't really match up. But the actual reality was I didn't choose the maximum pitch size because I thought it would be a good idea. I chose the maximum pitch size because I clicked the wrong button. I meant to go minimum and I went maximum, and I just wasn't paying enough attention to which one I was going. It asked me to clarify it. I clicked again without really thinking, and then realised that I'd gone really, really big when actually I wanted it to be more combative by being a smaller pitch. And so when I realised that, and we had the whole expanse of this huge playing surface, it wasn't worth sitting right in the middle of it and doing little tippy-tappy type of football. We had to go and be more expansive in it. So it was another reason to change it up. But well done, Nathan, you noticed it, and I noticed it as well when we came to play the games, and it wasn't working out. So it was another reason why we changed the whole setup of our play, because I chose the wrong pitch size. Anyway, there you go. It's just one of those things. So for now, we'll make the best of it. But for next season, if I remember, we're going to be reducing that quite considerably, I would suggest. So we're at 0-0 at half-time against Taunton, who are a side that are a couple of positions ahead of us. But we are supposed to be getting automatic promotion, remember. So the likes of our assistant manager and our board and other things have quite high expectation. And we're not quite matching it just yet. So we are going to go with, I'm not happy with the performance out there, just to see if we can get some form of kick up the bum to them all, really. The only one that didn't like it was Hayes, but okay, fair enough. And when we come back out, we're going to the shouts, and we're going to fire up the team for the first few minutes of the second half and see if we can just get on the front foot a little bit. I know it's a bit counterintuitive to play a cautious style of play, but try and get on the front foot. But even with the sort of the soaking up of pressure, we should be able to break on them occasionally. We're going to pause the game here on 70 minutes. And just notice that the stats are kind of in our favour mostly. 5-1 shots on target for them. 8-5 for us. We're getting through. We're just not making the most of it. A 0.52 XG. 46% possession. So that's kind of what you would expect, really. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go into the tactics page, and we are just going to up this a little bit in terms of the mentality of it. We're going to go into positive for the last few minutes of the game and see if we can just push them a little bit more. And we're going to make a few personnel changes as well. It's Harvey, unfortunately, that looks the most dead on his feet, so he'll have to come out. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring Thompson in and switch him with Hayes, so they can play roughly where I want them to. Thompson should be playing on the right, but there you go. What can you do? Let's look for a couple of low ratings as well. George, who I built up at the beginning saying that he was playing better than White, and he's not today, is he? So, and he's got a yellow card, so he comes out again. And then it's our other fullback that's got the other weak average rating at 6.5. Got a couple of slightly tighter players, but I think they'll be okay. So I am actually going to change the fullbacks and get some fresh legs on with Connor Riley low on that left-hand side as well, and just see if that can open it up a little bit for us down the width of our team. And we've got 15 minutes left. I just need us to create a couple of worthwhile highlight moments, and it doesn't look like we're going to do it. We've got 5 minutes left, so we're going to go very attacking for the last few minutes of it. We're going to go back into the tactics, and we're just going to move Hayes into a more attacking role. It's not his ideal position, but for now I just want a second body up there, see if that can make any difference in the last few minutes. I doubt it will now. Well, there is a highlight, but it's not for us. Are we going to get sucker punched at the end? No, we're not. Riley Lowe wins the ball, sends it up early to Hayes, holds the play up. There's the support runs. Did you? I told you this was going to work. You get the support runs, and then we don't make the most of it. But that halfway up the pitch, hold the ball, get the support runs, and then move on again. Almost worked for us. I knew I wasn't imagining it when I was watching this before. Anyway, here we go again with Alan on the ball. It was pointed out to me in the comments below as well that Alan is a former player that we've brought back in for Truro. So nice to reunite people together. Chamberlain again over the top. Can he get the ball in? He can. Is there an offside there, or was he level with the play when the cross came in? It looks like he was level, and it looks like in the 92nd minute, Neil has put us one up, and that is fantastic if that's the case. Alan with a great ball. He holds not Alan with a ball, Collins with the great ball over the top. And we made it halfway up the pitch again, dropped it back, then went over the top. Chamberlain cuts the ball across, and it's Neil right in the middle of the penalty box with nobody around him, and he doesn't make a mistake, and we get a really, really good win, and we are up and running in this division, it feels like. Finally figuring this sort of stuff out. This is a level of football I've never played at before in terms of Football Manager, so it takes a little bit of getting used to in terms of what the expectations are. But I feel like we're finally beginning to just find our way a little bit. It's still in the early days, isn't it? But a good win, well done. That's inspired and motivated them all, which is really fantastic to see. That brings us up into the 8 games played level, which is where a lot of other teams around us are. Some have now played 9, and we sit in 5th place, which is really good for the start of the season that we had, which is a little bit shaky, just to try and keep pace with the bulk of this group and at least aim for a playoff place. If not, trying to reel in Tiverton. At some point, we're going to have to try and do that if we want that top spot. That's for another day, though. For today, it's all about Truro getting the points. And let's go back and let's analyse how we managed to do it. So here we are on the analysis page, and you can see that our XG in the end was just below 1, so we were pretty much spot on what we were expecting to get. There's the goal at a really, really key moment in the game. For Taunton themselves, they only got a 0.4, and they had a few more attempts on goal than we did early in the game, so we did all right to suppress them enough in the end. You can see that in the end we had far more shots than they did. If we go and have a look at these in a little bit more detail, you can see a good amount of them were in the box centrally, and so you can see the likes here of Neil, his shot was saved, so we have to get a little bit more aware of where the keeper is and trying to find a way past him down in the sort of corners of the goal maybe and stuff. It's too straight at the goalkeeper. We again then get one shot here that was the goal, and then a few on the outside that were blocked, and another one was blocked here, and then off target. A couple, 3 of them were off target. So it wasn't a bad performance in terms of being in front of goal. We had 12 attempts at goal, which is pretty decent. A little bit more consistency on actually getting it on target and trying to make the goalkeeper work a little bit harder maybe is the thing that we can learn there. In terms of, again, it's behind where I'm sitting. I know this on the screen, but in terms of our own, it's this one today, so we might be able to see it. I don't know how far across I come, but we kept quite a narrow shape, which is decent enough because we're going long and through the centre mostly. A lot of possession was had in the central midfield kind of area, but that's a shape that I don't mind at all. It's quite compact and quite able to work in terms of being able to get the ball out from the back into that central midfield area, in with Neil dropping in and then moving again, which we did see late in the game. I didn't think we would for a while, but I knew that this was working in the previous matches. It's good to see it play out for an episode. We worked again primarily down the wide areas, which kind of surprises me a little bit because the instruction is to go through the centre, but I'm not overly worried because it still goes through the centre and then onto the wide men, I would suggest. And so it's working for whatever reason, and that's okay. So let's go and check out some of these shots at goal. We had the one goal for us. We'll just look at Truro, not Taunton as well. We had 3 that were off target, primarily from wide areas and long distance, so not too bad. Then we had the 6 that were saved. Let's clear the others out. A lot from inside the box. That's where we have to work the goalkeeper a little bit better. And 2 that were blocked on the edge of the area. Okay, fair enough. There's some good defending obviously going on there from Taunton, so that's okay. In terms of the passes, here's the completed one. Just makes me giggle. I like that particular screenshot. I don't know what it's supposed to tell you, but there we go. Let's go and look at the intercepted. Again, we're going slightly longer now, so you might expect some of these to be a little bit more prevalent. And they were, there's a few more in there than I would like, but that's okay. A couple of blocked clearances, which is par for the course, I guess, occasionally. Unsuccessful, again, these are not intercepted ones. These are just ones that didn't go to where we really wanted them to go. And they're, again, longer distance one. We're going to expect that, I think, from moving this sort of style of play onwards a little bit. But maybe we can eliminate that just by getting better at it collectively and getting the relationships up within the side a little bit better. And then a few out of play as well. So all in all, it's not too bad. We did have 6 key passes though, so that's really important and nice to see. So overall, the passing was pretty decent. But yeah, let's have a look what else we can look at here. What's the one I want? Let's go and see what movement is all about. So dribbling, we only had a couple of guys dribbling the ball, which is kind of what I want. I haven't set them up to dribble at all. We've got to be making the ball do the work for us primarily. And then we did get a few offside decisions as well. One from fairly deep. So this is when we're working the ball from this kind of area to clear it into the middle ground for Neil. And then a couple up into the penalty box. So not too bad. And here's the movement map. Now, what does this show us? This is going to show us everybody's movement for the entire match, which is kind of interesting. Let's speed this up somewhat and go to times 10. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? But you can see working as a unit, the width is there occasionally, but we always get back into shape quite well when we're losing the ball and we're going to get it back again. And you can see that when we're dropping back into this area, Neil comes back to the halfway line and we work it once into midfield area to him, and then the on-running players go past him to move the player on again. And it's working quite well. We had that one good attempt today, didn't we? Which is great. And I think we'll leave that there. I don't think we can play back the whole game, but it's kind of interesting to see that the shape of our side works quite well most of the time, as long as he doesn't get too isolated and he can hold the ball up enough for the wide men to support him at this point in the pitch. We're doing all right, I reckon. And that is how we won the game, really, through that particular mechanism. We worked it to him, we then allowed runners, and then we worked it again and eventually got it into the box. And I'm really quite happy with that. That's all good with me. And eventually we came away with a good 1-0 win. So So here we are back on the schedule page where we started earlier in the episode looking at the previous fixtures. We're now looking at the future fixtures as to what's coming up next. We've got another couple of cup games in there. As we've seen before, we went through the first round of those, so we've got a couple more of them coming up. But we're going to focus purely on the league for this first half of the season specifically. If we get into the later parts of these competitions in the second half, then we'll show some of those games then potentially. But what we're going to come back for is the Metropolitan Police game on the 1st of December. That's away from home, so we'll play 2 more episodes before the end of the calendar year. So we'll play Hayes and Yedding and the following episode as well, and that will take us through to the new year. And so then I'll play through January and we'll come back after that and then find the following episode at the beginning of February. Those are the next few that we're going to be doing. But for the next episode is Metropolitan Police. I can then catch you up on our cup games and the 3 or so games that we play in the Southern Premier League South as well. So there's lots of good stuff to come, some challenging fixtures in there, but I think we're beginning to get a good run of form going, and we're keeping clean sheets, which is great. We didn't do that so early in the season. Now we're beginning to keep some clean sheets and getting some important goals, and I think we might have unlocked a way of play that for this season specifically might work out for us. So come back and join me for the next episode against Metropolitan Police, see how we get on against them. And until then though, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate the support on the series so far, the interaction. Keep it coming. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments below about the style of play and the change and how we've managed to do it. But yeah, thank you for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and join my United City community. The more the merrier with that. Click that like button for me. Helps me get seen by loads of other people. For those that are wondering, this is the lower league database, tier 10 database for English football that's created by the editor, the FM editor and his team. And his link is in the description below for his Twitter account. There's also the skin link in the description below as well. And then all of my links as well to my Discord, etc. is down there. So go and check all of that out. Until next time though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.